What's happening, family? It's Mirror Check Podcast coming to you guys with another fire episode. But before we get into this episode, can you do us a favor? Please visit our website, www.checkyourmirror.com. Once again, www.checkyourmirror.com. We have some amazing products and services available for you guys on our website. And if you want to join the family, please go subscribe. You'll actually receive a special promotional offer code via email or text message, depending on your preference. If you just go ahead and subscribe and join the family. We have some amazing products and services on our website. We have this place called Motivational Corner. So if you're going through something throughout the week and you need a pick-me-up, visit our Motivational Corner. We have some great videos on there. They'll help inspire you. They'll help motivate you throughout the week. Also, if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, look no further. Mirror Check Podcast, we're here to help. You'll be able to rent out our podcast equipment. All you have to do is just visit our website and schedule a time and date to rent out the podcast equipment. When you subscribe to our website, you will receive newsletters letting you know what Mirror Check is working on. Also, you'll be invited to special events hosted by us, as well as early access to product releases. Our podcast is streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Transistor.fm, YouTube, and now on iHeartRadio and also Pandora. Look at God. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mirror Check Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, Mirror Check Podcast, TikTok, and Twitter, Mirror Check _. Remember, if it's always someone else's fault, your mirror is dirty. Time to check your mirror. Hey family, it's your boy Ishmael. Hey, this is a very special episode. I'm doing this episode because I've been asked numerous times how Mirror Check started. So I'm going to give y'all a little story about how actually Mirror Check began. So it actually started when I was 18, many years ago. Went to the University of Texas at Austin, hook 'em. And, I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get accepted into the School of Architecture. And so I went undecided for like my first semester. And, I met some friends, a guy from Iran. He became one of my best friends. A guy from Trinidad and Tobago. He became one of my best friends. But there was a void, So I joined, let me backtrack. So I met this girl and, it took my focus off school. We was doing any and everything, anywhere, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean. Even like I can be on the phone talking with my mom and we'll end up doing something, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it got real bad to the point where I just felt this void, So I started seeking more, and I started going to church down there in Austin. And as I went to church, I ran into a guy who actually lived in my dorm, Dobie Center, my freshman year. And he said, "Hey, man, you need to join this Christian fraternity." I'm like, "Man, nah, I'm not finna do all that, stepping and everything." So he's like, "Nah, we don't do anything like that. But what we do is we go serve. We have Bible study. We have all these different things, to show people the God, the goodness of God." And I was like, "Nah, man, that's cheesy right there." You know what I'm saying? And the more I was pushing back and saying, "Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it," the more I felt alone. So I actually ran back into him in the hallway in our dorms. And he said, "Man, you need to join." I was like, "All right, when y'all first meeting?" And then, he told me the date and I went to the meeting. And let me tell you, it was like one other black person in there. Everybody else is white. So I felt uncomfortable. But then I got to talking to the people and they was like, "Hey, let me pray for you. Let me pray for you." And, and they was just basically sharing their story with me. And so as they were sharing their stories and they were praying for me, they was asking me about my story and what am I going to school for, and just asking questions about me. And I started feeling comfortable answering those questions. So I ended up joining that fraternity. And eventually I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend. And I'm not going to even lie, we were still doing stuff as me, in that transition phase of me really trying to find who I was. And it got to the point where a big situation caused us to just basically, completely separate, lose communication. So I went through a phase of, major depression and stress over that summer. And, and I remember laying on the floor and my mom was like, you need to get up, you need to go eat, you need to go do something. And I was like, I'd rather die, because I was just I felt defeated. You know what I'm saying? I just broke up with my girlfriend and all this other stuff, was going on in my life. And, she sat there and she cried. She said, I don't never want to hear you say that again. Where's your faith? What are you going to do? You need to do something about that. And, that was my wake up call. And then, I looked in the mirror and I saw how skinny I was. I went from 185 to 117. And I don't know how many months, probably 3 months, probably even less than that. Just not eating, just always sleeping. And it was just unhealthy. And so I had to check myself in the mirror at that time. I was like, man, if I want better, I got to do better. So that was the one point. And then, that next year came, and I was still, I'm still in this Christian fraternity, and we started having Bible studies and feeding the less fortunate and connecting with people, man, from all phases of life. And so, me, I took a history class down in UT, and my professor had us reading a series of different journals, letters that, these people like George Washington, Lewis and Clark expedition, and, Frederick Douglass. We was reading all these different letters and everything like that. And so I got very, very interested in history. And I was like, you know what? I would start reading these letters that like they would actually write their wives and everything, about the things they encountered, the people they had to encounter, the weather they endured, all these different things that happened while, they're on their mission. So I was like, you know what? Let me start writing these letters to my wife so she know my trials and my tribulations, my shortcomings, everything that I had to face on my journey to find her, So Mirror Check started off, honestly, it started off as a book that I was going to present to my wife on the day that we got married. I haven't met her yet still, but it was never intended to go public. Like I said, so it was many things that I had to face in my life, in my 20s. That's why I never decided to date, be in a relationship or anything like that, because I was really, truly learning to love God and myself and truly figuring out who I was. And joining that fraternity helped me become the man I am today. And so, Mirror Check, like I said, it was these series of journals that I would write, and it would talk about, my struggles. I struggle with stress and depression a lot of mental health issues. And I would write and let my wife know, my future wife know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm struggling with. I'm praying and I'm trying my best to overcome these. And then I would also, once I overcame those struggles, I would write about it too, saying, hey, this is how I overcame it, And it would talk about the many different jobs that I would, get denied or for because, they said I was either overqualified or underqualified for. Because if you know me, I'm a shoot big. I'm, fresh out of college and I'm applying for, Microsoft. I'm applying for Apple. I'm applying for all these different companies and I'm getting denied because I didn't have that internship. I wasn't blessed with the opportunity to have that internship, but God was working behind the scenes. And so greater things started to come my way. And I was continue to write about it, let her know, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is what's going on. This is how I overcame it. So, crazy thing is like, people don't believe me when I tell them this, but I've only been on one date since 2012 and it's 2022. And the crazy thing is I'm sitting down on this date with this woman, knowing it's not my wife. You know what I'm saying? That I couldn't see a future with her or anything like that. So if you listen to the second episode, I called that blind dating. I did that because I needed my time to be occupied. I just felt alone. I saw my friends in relationships. I saw them getting married, and I felt like I was getting left behind. So I would push myself out there knowing, hey, this person I shouldn't entertain, or this person I know I shouldn't, do anything with because I felt alone. It was very difficult. It was a very difficult time in my life. And so, like I said, we're sitting on this date and I asked her a simple question. I said, so what are you looking for and how do I fit into this? And she said, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. And I said, I love honesty. Come on. And I wasn't prepared for the answer that she was going to give me, and she said straight up, and I quote, "You're a nice dude, but you're not thuggish enough for me." So I said, what do you mean I'm not thuggish enough? And this is crazy to me. I don't know why some women think this way, but she was like, I want a man who have no problem, going upside my head when I'm out of line. I'm like, why would you want somebody to hit you? She never did answer that question. And I guess she was saying basically she want a man who would put her in her place when she's out of line. I'm like, man, I don't know the type of man she been dealing with or anything like that, but that's not a man, man. If you got to put your hands on a woman, to me, you less than a man. Like, you the scum of the earth. Like, God created man to be that protector, to be that lover, to be that leader, to be the glue that basically holds everything together. Along with the woman, she's the glue as well. It takes two to seal everything and strengthen it. You can't build a strong foundation on sand. You have to build it on concrete. It has to be something solid. So her saying that, I was like, you know what? I'm not even interested in dating no more. Let me just continue to grow and develop and accomplish my goals. And eventually, along the way, I'll meet, whoever God has for me. And so I continue to do that. I continue to work. I continue to, develop self, learn to love self. So as the years went by, more friends started to get married. Got invited to a wedding, my first wedding that I can remember, back in 2017. I got invited to that wedding and it was a beautiful wedding. I thought like the person that invited me, I really thought, we were like best friends. And I was like, I was going to be part of the wedding. I was going to be a groomsman or something. Unfortunately I wasn't. Kind of hurt, I'm not going to lie. because he was like, "Hey, you one of my best friends," as I look over it, I wasn't a groomsman or anything like that to solidify, hey, I'm one of your best friends. So that kind of hurt me, but I got over that, and then to be honest, we kind of lost communication. So I put that in the journal, just writing how I felt. How I felt kind of like disrespected or, kind of left alone, like, but that day wasn't about me. It was about God, joining this union, creating this union, this covenant. But like I said, it wasn't about me that day. But, when I got home, I had to write about it because it was a day that impacted me. So I wanted my future wife to know about it. And, years before that, a guy that I considered my best friend at the time, I've been knowing him since second grade. He know who he is. And, he ended up getting married. And his wife went to the same school I did. We went to high school together, and then she ended up going to the University of Texas at Austin with me. So that's a huge clue. You should know who that is. But we created a real bond, me and her, and we ended up working a job together, me, him, and her, at a call center. So we became real close, and then they ended up starting, to have a family. And I still was close with them and everything. And, eventually they started having, more children. They had a girl. And once they had that girl, it's like we lost connection. Well, I still was going around. We still was hanging out. I would still go over to their house. We'd still hang out. We'd still watch boxing, play video games, whatnot. But I would say right before the pandemic, like everything just went downhill. I lost, we wasn't communicating as much. I would try to reach out, and he just would ignore me, so I would write about it, how I felt, I felt like I had no friends or and stuff like that. It was just me. I had nobody to turn to. So I started to get vertigo, and it got to a point so bad that I couldn't walk for 2 weeks, and I had to go to therapy for it. I had nobody to turn to. So as I'm, struggling through this battle and everything like that, I'm not gonna lie, I got to a point of depression, and I was even thinking about suicide. And the crazy thing is, a guy who is now a realtor, and I've been knowing him since I think second grade as well, Rodney Meadows, you know who you are. He just randomly called me and said, "Hey, you all right?" I'm like, "Not really." He said, "Man, let's link up. Let's go to On the Border, man. Come on down here to On the Border, man. We're gonna eat and chop it up." So I was glad he invited me out. I'm gonna be honest, God placed him in my life. He saved my life that day because I was at an all-time low. And I wrote about it, and to let my future wife know, hey, this is what's going on. And I thank God to this day about that. I try to reach out to Rodney a few times. He'll answer every now and then, but haven't heard from him in a while. Hope all is well with him, and his wife and his children. But that really impacted me. I thank God for it. It's a positive impact. And then I would say after that, everything started having a positive outlook. Like I'm advancing in my career. All of this started, at working for this airline. I'm not gonna give a company name or anything. Started working at this airline. It's my dream job, just to travel the world. Got to travel a little bit. End up going to the IT department in the airline. that I was working for, that's where what I went to school for is information technology, but computer information systems. So more so on the development side. So I work in IT at this job, and then it's like some things happen, and I asked for a pay raise, and my manager basically laughed in my face when I asked for a pay raise because I felt like I was doing too much work and getting underpaid, and they was adding more tasks, but the money wasn't matching, the work I was doing. So I asked for a pay raise. She laughed in my face, and at that moment, I knew it was time for me to leave that job. So I wrote about it. Told my wife, hey, my future wife, hey, this what happened, this what happened, this what happened. So let me say, okay, so the end of 2019, right before the pandemic happened, I end up getting, the doctor said I had pneumonia, but it was actually COVID. I had traveled to Vegas back in early part of December, and I ended up getting COVID in December, and I'm sick. I'm in the house by myself. I didn't want to do anything. I felt so weak. So I wrote about it. Soon I started getting well, I started writing about how I felt, all this other stuff. And then the pandemic had happened, and we're on lockdown. The only way you really can leave the house if you're an essential worker. So in the airline industry, you're considered an essential worker. So me going back and forth to work, and I'm seeing, a lot of people starting to come down with COVID, and I'm like, oh Lord, I don't want to get that again. So I wrote about my experience, going back and forth to work, seeing all my coworkers and the people I consider friends at work getting COVID and missing, 2 weeks of work. I wrote about that. And then after that, I had actually started like wanting to change what mirror check was. Like, I was like, but I don't know how I can reach more people. Like, I haven't met my wife, so I need to change it, but how can I reach more people? But let me mind you, I'm also, always checking myself in the mirror. Hey, this is not you. You need to move this way. This is not you. Stuff like that, checking myself. And learning to fall in love with my flaws. My flaws are a part of my story. A lot of people will make fun. Hey, you got a big head, and I ain't gonna lie, that kinda, when I was growing up, that kinda, made me feel some type of way. But as I got older, I started joking with them, hey, my head big because my mama head big, my head big because my mama head shaped like a German rock wall or something, I used to just make jokes or something like that. And so I actually grew out of that phase. People would just make all these different types of jokes about me and everything like that. Mind you, I'm already fighting depression and stress and all this other stuff. But I learned to accept my flaws. And this all started with me looking in the mirror and said, regardless of what they're saying, you made in God's image, and God doesn't make anything ugly. I may live in imperfection, but in God's eyes, he perfected me, So like I said, I accepted those flaws and I turned it into greatness, and let me go back to American Airlines too. So that was actually before I started American Airlines and all this other stuff. But going back to, I just mentioned the company, but oh well. Yeah, I worked for American Airlines. I was in the IT industry, and like I said, when my manager laughed at me, I knew it was time for me to leave. So I left American Airlines, and I went a couple months with no work at all, nothing. So, but the beauty, if you know me, I'm always like investing or saving some type of money. So I went like, let me see, February. So I went 2 months without working. So I was trying to, people, how you gonna pay your bills? I'm like, I'm not worried about it. I got money saved up. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna reset. All this other stuff is look what's out there, that's gonna compensate me based on my, skill set. So I found a job, and I'm thankful for it. Um, it's an IT job, so that's all you're gonna get out from me. But loving it and everything like that. That's present day. But let me rewind it to how it became a podcast. How Mirror Check became a podcast. So one day I was just lying in bed, and I was like, man, how can I make this story, my personal story, reach more people? How can I do it? How can I do it? How can I do it? Because some people may be struggling with the same things I struggle with like mental health issues and suicidal thoughts, and feeling like they got left behind because their friends were getting married. You know, I had no friends. It was just me. I have, if you know me, I got 2 cell phones. I'm looking at both of them all day. I haven't received not one text message, not one call from nobody outside of family. I just felt like I didn't have any friends. And so, me feeling that way, I was like, man, somebody probably struggling with this and really getting pushed to the edge because they feel like, they're alone in this life. And so, like I said, I'm lying in bed. I'm like, man, God, how can I do it? How can I do this? How can I do this? So literally, I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, looked in the mirror. First word that came to my mind when I looked in that mirror was podcast. God works in mysterious ways, man. Like, I always tell people, if you have the desire, God already gave you the ability to do it. I don't care what it is. If you desire to be a doctor, the ability is already in you. Yeah, you're going to have to go through a process to get to the end result. Yes, you're going to have to take some classes. Yes, you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to do a lot of things to become a certified doctor. You're going to have to do that. So you have to trust that process. If you wanted to be a nurse, same thing. If you want to be an engineer, you have to take these classes. You may not be good in math, but just know you have to take math. You have to take physics and everything like that if you want to be an engineer. So I learned to fall in love with the process. So back to my story, but I would say, so I podcast came to my mind. So I'm like, should I do it by myself? And I'm like, man, it's gonna be kind of hard for me doing it by myself. I don't want to get too personal and talk about what I was writing my wife, my future wife, and something I was gonna present to her on the day that we got married. The reason why I wanted to present her these journals that I was writing. No, it's not a diary. Not the Anne Frank diary or anything like that, but it was these series of journals that I want to present to her because, like, once I met her, she can realize, hey, this is what I had to endure, and this is my trials and tribulations. This is my testimony on my way to finding her. And so if I were to, pass away, she can still remember me just by reading those stories. And then, pass it on to our children, and they can say, oh man, my dad went through this, or my children might be going through the same thing. This is how my dad overcame it. So, I'm not saying my experience will be their experience, but, they can say, hey, this is how my dad did this, and kind of have even a deeper connection with me, even though I'm not there, and if something were to happen to me, God forbid, But that's the reason why I wrote those journals, and that's what I wanted to present her with, just to let her know my trials and tribulations on my way to finding her. Even on the day that we, becoming one, I wanted to write about that, and then the whole process from the day, I proposed to her all the way into the end reception when I'm not a dancer, but dancing and all that other stuff, and everybody on the dance floor eating and just having a good old time, and from the honeymoon. And then I was like, hey, look, this is something I wrote for you, but I have a few, pages I have to add to it, which would have been, like I said, the day of the wedding all the way to the honeymoon, to buying our first home and to starting our first family, our family, stuff like that. So that was gonna be something I added to it. But like I said, unfortunately, I never met her or anything like that. And so, like I said, podcasts came to mind, and I was like, who can I ask to be a part of it? Who can I ask to be a part of it? It has to be somebody who is like-minded, who have the same faith as me. Someone who truly believed that, God doesn't give, like I said, God doesn't give us a desire without the ability to do it. And I reached out to Willie Beeman, my co-host, and I shot him the idea. He immediately said, yeah, we got it. Let's do it. So this was October of last year when we actually met to start planning out our first episode and the format of how we want Mirror Check and everything. So we sitting down at Sundance Square. I'm pulling out my iPads and everything. We just taking notes and just jotting down some topics and everything like that. So so during that time, I had reached out to my other friend, Sean, and I was like, man, I don't know what to talk about. I don't want to really talk about what I was writing my wife, because I feel like it needs to remain personal. It needs to be very personal. I don't want to share a lot of stuff with people that should be for my wife's eyes only. And he gave me a list of topics, and I'm like, man, I'm glad God, put you on my heart. And believe it or not, I told him last week, I thank God for you, because when you started your Man Behind the Brand, that pushed me to start my Mirror Check podcast, because I had the idea, but I was always procrastinating. You know how it is. So I started seeing him, shooting videos, him interviewing people and everything like that. I said, you know what? I'm going to do that too. I'm going to go ahead and do it. No more excuses. And, purchased the equipment, and me and Willie been rolling ever since. And man, it's been a journey. I still to this day check my mirror, and sometimes I just sit there and look in the mirror, and being black, some people be like, "What you look in the mirror? You think you look good or something?" Hey, I look good to myself. I learned how to accept my flaws. I look good in God's eyes, even though I live in sin. I feel like He still set me apart from a lot of the things, because I've never had alcohol in my life. Never been to a strip club. Been to the club a few times, only because I was invited because birthday parties, but that's not my, scene that I hang around. Never been to a kickback, never been to a house party, any of that. If you know me, I move a certain way, and if people are in the crowd that I feel uncomfortable, I will remove myself from that crowd. I have that mindset that if I'm gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna get in trouble because of me, not nobody else. But I know myself, so I'm not gonna put myself in that position. And I thank God for molding me that way. creating that mindset. Uh, and it's rubbing off on friends that have been through a lot in life, and they have reached out to me and say, "Hey, I thank God that I'm around you now. That money that I'm using for this, now I'm using it for something positive, just because I've been around you." So I want to allow my light to shine even in the darkest of moments, you know. So I just want to be a vessel for the kingdom. Like, I just want to be remembered as a person who loved, a person who gave, a servant, a child of God, a leader, you know. All of those attributes and qualities, like, that's what I like. If somebody say, "Hey, this is Ishmael," how, and, first thing that come to mind, what do you, when you hear the name Ishmael, what do you think? I want something to remain positive. Like, he never did this, he never did that. Many times in my life, I was called a square because I didn't do a lot of stuff. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't drink, didn't party. All I do was go to work, come home, go to work, come home, hang around family. That's all I did. While my friends my friends at the time, where, they go out and club, 3-4 times a week, getting high, drunk, all this other stuff. I never felt that mold. I always wanted to be different. I always wanted to be set apart from all of that. And I wrote about that in my mirror check journal. Like I said, that I wanted to get to my future wife. Just how I felt like I was just set apart from everything. And the beautiful thing is like I said, I was praying and everything to see how I can reach more people and everything. Guess what my name means? My name's Ishmael. So my name means God hears or God listens. So God heard, how can I reach more people? And like I said, I woke up the next morning, look in the mirror, and podcast came up. So it's a beautiful thing. He heard my prayer, and he answered it. And then, if you know the story of Ishmael, he basically was outcast. So I felt like I was outcast my whole entire life, like from my friends, because I never fit in. I never, and they started excluding me from everything because it just wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't fit in that mold. So it was just me, this journey, just all alone, just me. And like I said, I just learned to love myself, and I learned to accept my flaws. And, I turned into greatness. And now I have people, old friends trying to, reconnect with me and picking my brain about investments, about technology, about podcasts, about just everything. People come to me all the time asking for advice. And if you know me, I'm not going to ignore you. I'm just going, I'll give you what you ask for. But just know, I know how to handle the situation. I'm not going to give you full access to me. You reveal who you truly were. So once you reveal that, now you have limited, you don't even have access. You just have limited communication, I would say. Access is basically, hey, they coming around you. They doing all this other stuff. They can, they have a, what's the word I'm looking for? They have they can impact the way you move, the way your life. You don't have that anymore. Back then you did, when I was like feeling alone, just because of how the actions of you excluding me or all this other stuff. But not anymore. I don't feel that way anymore. I thank God for that. And it's I'm just on this beautiful journey. I just learned to really enjoy the journey, trust the process. Like Joel Embiid say, trust the process. I learned how to do that. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this. The journey won't be easy. It really won't. You're going to endure a lot of things, a lot of times where you feel like you failed, a lot of times you may feel like you got left behind, a lot of times that, people see only your flaws. They don't see that light shining in you. Just a lot of shortcomings. But guess what? The rival will be worthwhile. So whatever you're going through on this journey, you have a goal. You're trying to arrive to a place to be set apart from all the other things. You're trying to get to this place. And you can't take everybody with you. You can't. I don't care how much you love them, but you can't. Along this journey, when you realize and you see that vision, that goal that you're trying to get to, all the other stuff that was in the past no longer matters. So whatever it is that you desire to be, you have to separate yourself from old so new things and greater things can come. So it all starts with the person in the mirror. Look in that mirror and check yourself. You're great, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, but it all starts with you. So we got to stop pointing that finger at other people and really check our mirror. Because if we continue to point those fingers at other people, that means our mirror is dirty. It's time to clean that up. It's time to clean that up and go be great. All right, man. Thank y'all for tuning to this special episode. Y'all be blessed. Thank y'all for tuning into another episode of Mirror Check Podcast. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will release new content. Again, every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will release new content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Transistor.fm, also on YouTube. Yes, YouTube, we will have video from now on. And also, we'll actually launch the audio on our website, www.checkyourmirror.com. While you're there, subscribe to our website. You will receive a special offer in your email if you go ahead and subscribe to our website. We also have this special place called our Motivational Corner. If you're going through something throughout the week and you just need to be picked up, be encouraged. We all need to be encouraged along this journey. So we created this thing called Motivational Corner. Go check us out. Go look at some videos. Go get motivated. Get your mind right. Finish the week strong. Let's get it. And we always leave you with this. If it's always someone else's fault, check your mirror. Your mirror's dirty. So what I want you to do is look at that person in the mirror. Take self-inventory. And also take self-accountability. It's time to just look at your flaws, accept your flaws, turn them to greatness. Alrighty, y'all be blessed.